worked it out. I think at last the clouds have moved aside. I spent a lifetime waiting, woke today to find my arms are open wide. There comes a point when things are clear, when they shift into perspective. All hesitation seems to disappear. I know I found a way, I finally found a way to let things go. The past is there to teach you, mistakes provide the pain that helps you grow. So I have healed and I have grown. At some point I guess you have to, but I don't want to face the world on my own. Something has got to start. I am ready to be loved. Someone can steal my heart. I am ready to be loved. I know you'll find me. It takes time, but today I know that I'm ready to be loved. I won't depend on you. I don't want comfort. I don't need a crutch. I need to care for someone. I know that someone out there cares for me as much. I'm on the search for something great. I won't settle for contentment, though I am willing to. I don't want to wait. Something has got to start. I am ready to be loved. Someone can steal my heart. I am ready to be loved. I know you'll find me. It takes time, but today I know that I'm ready to be loved. I was always the girl who thought she needed to be tough. I was never the girl who liked herself enough to feel that she deserved someone who cared. But now I do. Let it begin. I'm prepared. I am ready to be loved. Someone can steal my heart. I am ready to be loved. I know you'll find me. It takes time, but today I know that I'm ready to be loved. I am ready to be loved.
Theatre, an entire industry shut down by a global pandemic. In the Wings is a collection of interviews with writers, composers, and creatives whose work was affected by COVID-19. In this series, we will shine a spotlight on those productions, featuring live performances by West End stars and emerging artists. These are the stories of those shows, waiting in the wings. Episode 3, Millennials.
So Elliot Clay, I have to tell you, Millennials drives me nuts. Because Millennials, not the play, I haven't seen it yet, but as somebody who's a Generation Xer, you guys, so I was intrigued when I read the synopsis of your show, and I'd love for you to tell us first a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the meat of the show.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Elliot Clay, and I trained as an actor, and that's the thing that I've done most of. But at the same time as being an actor, I've always written music and lyrics, and I've always been fascinated by the creation of musicals, and it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago that I started sort of turning my hand to actually putting all these ideas that I have through a piano and onto the page. And I think the point of the show isn't to represent every single millennial trope, good or bad, that you can think of, because that's impossible. I can still only do it from my experience of viewing the world. But I felt that there were a lot of stories and a lot of people that weren't being represented in musical theatre, and stories that perhaps you don't often think of. You think you could portray in that way through song. And Millennials is ostensibly a song cycle. And I have lots of opinions about song cycles. Some I love, some I have big question marks over, and that was a real challenge for me. But putting very, I mean, I say in the synopsis it's about extraordinarily ordinary people. And I think translating that into the form of a song, and I've particularly tried to be as modern as I can with the sounds that I'm using to represent 21st century life. That's quite a challenge, and I sort of felt quite a weight on my shoulders when writing Millennials. And I say writing, I've got about 2 songs left. But
Aren't we always trying to? When we start to really love a project, we just want to write one more song.
Yeah, totally.
And, one more scene, one more character. You know what would be great is we had a little dance number.
It's almost like calling a show Mankind, because I've called it a show about a whole generation of people, and I hope that when it is finished, when people experience it, that they find that it's not just about people that were born between certain years and labelled with that title of Millennials, that actually in some way we are kind of all Millennials, because we're all here right now. We're all facing, whether it's massive things such as climate change, or whether it's small things, everyday things that you don't think of. So I am hoping that it perhaps resonates with more people than perhaps that slightly narrow title.
Sailing across the water, we could be hand in hand. The sun so high, the air so cool, the radio playing that old song from school. If you could hear, you should be here. They say we must pretend we're just good friends, but you could be in a place that I've not heard of. You could be on the other side of the world. Eventually they'll see that I'll come running home to see you. They can build their walls and shut their borders, but I'll need 50,000 men or more to keep my love from coming, 'cause I'm running home to see you. We should be failing, this should be over. Just when I think of all the things we've lost, the shit we've read, the tears we cried and the blood we shed, but we're not frightened, we won't be frightened into spending life behind closed doors. The moves I made are mine, not yours. They're divided, we're surviving. You could be in a place that I've not heard of. You could be on the other side of the world. Eventually they'll see, and I'll come running home to see you. They could build We should be over, but we're not over. We'll never be over. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. They could build their walls and shut their borders to keep my love from coming. 'Cause I'm running home to see you.
So, Elliot, tell me about your musical influences.
My musical influences, I'd say, are very, very varied, whether it's classical, whether it's Schubert, whether it's Rachmaninoff, all the way through to Lady Gaga, to Ariana Grande. I sort of pride myself on trying to listen to as much music as I can, even music that potentially I wouldn't like. And hopefully, with millennials, what I'm trying to do is to sort of push the musical into the 21st century sound. I think not. It's, if you think back to the Lloyd Webber shows in the 80s, those big hits, or ABBA when they did Chess. A lot of that work ended up on the radio being big hits because they were writing shows that sounded like the music, the popular music at the time. And I think we've kind of somehow separated ourselves from that slightly. And I wanted to write. I didn't want to just write songs that ended up on the radio, but I wanted to use some of that language and high production values that you can get in a studio now so easily. It's amazing what you can do. I wanted to bring that in because I think I wanted to write something that's well and truly about 21st century life here and now. It just made perfect sense to me to bring in a lot of that 21st century sound language.
Do you produce your own music?
I don't produce my own music.
Arrange?
Yeah. So what I write piano scores and I do sort of rough demos that the world will never ever hear. And then I've got some brilliant producers, Nikki and Joe Davison at Auburn Jam Music in London, and they bring it to life better than I could ever hope. Yeah.
That's great. So where have you gotten to with the show so far?
So I'm releasing Millennials as an album, first and foremost. Again, that plays into sort of what I wanted to do with using that 21st century language and presenting it. And we released our first single, which was in December, and we were just about to go and start recording a big bulk of songs the day that we went into lockdown.
Sure.
And that was...
As one does. Yeah.
As one does, yeah, of course. And you know what? In the most selfish sense, from a writer's point of view, the lockdown has been a blessing in disguise because it's just suddenly I've got all this nothing but free time. And actually, I think if perhaps I had have gone into the studio, the show would be quite different actually than it is now. So I really have used this time in lockdown to tear the show apart, write lots of new songs, reimagine.
Has it given you an introspection that your typical millennial, stereotypical millennial perhaps, wouldn't otherwise have? Because one of the things I think defines your generation is this sort of go to, next thing. Do you think that the lockdown has given you that thing, which is, to me, I don't remember this kind of a time since my teens.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pace of life for everyone has the brakes were sharply put on, and I think suddenly yeah, there was something quite nice about having this moment of just total silence almost, and just pausing to really reflect, and that really helped with the show. And so where the show is at now is that during lockdown we managed to release a second single. So I'm sort of releasing teaser singles as we go, and we managed to do that with myself, the artist, and the studio never laying eyes on one another, never being in the same room. Power of technology, which was amazing. And we've got another single coming up that's released in September, and then we're going to start working now that lockdown restrictions are starting to ease, hoping to get back into the studio and be there in person and get the rest of the album finished before Christmas, which would be great.
Early morning, he comes into my head. He likes to visit every time I'm in bed. Instead of sleeping, I replay all he said. So I just wonder, does he know? Do my deepest secret show? Day is dawning and he's still with me now. I go to speak but find that I don't know how. My heart is hurting more than words will allow. So I just wonder, does he know? Do my deepest secret show? Do I say, do I tell, do I let down my guard? Do I stay by myself, 'cause revealing's too hard? Do I run, do I hide? Will I ever decide who I am? Do I scream, do I cry? Do I face down my fears? Do I live in a world where there's no one who hears what I think, how I feel? Will these wounds ever heal? Now I'm starting to wonder how long I conceal that I cannot take one moment longer. Let my heart break over again. I know these scars make us so much stronger, but I'm just holding on to what's left until then. Another day ahead of living a lie. He'd come to my rescue if he only knew why. And so I wonder just how long I can cry before he really has to know. My deepest secret show. Do I say, do I tell, do I let down my guard? Do I stay by myself, 'cause revealing's too hard? Do I run, do I hide? Will I ever decide who I am? Do I scream, do I cry? Do I face down my fears? Do I live in a world where there's no one who hears what I think, how I feel? Will these wounds ever heal? Now I'm starting to wonder how long I conceal that I cannot take one moment longer. Let my heart break over again. I know these scars make us so much stronger, but I'm just holding on to what's left until then. And does no one know that I cannot take one moment longer? Let my heart break over again. I know these scars make us so much stronger, but I'm just holding on to what's left until then. And whoa,
think we're going with this COVID thing and the theater world in general, and your show in particular?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the theatre world in general, you know, we are in big trouble, and I think there has been, I think there's been a real negligence from the government. I really do, in terms of the support that they have and haven't offered theatre, and we are struggling. In terms of millennials, I always wanted to write something that was presented first and foremost as an album. That decision was made for me 2 years ago. In some ways, that's a bit of divine providence, because even if I wanted to book a theatre now and have it run it 8 times a week, I couldn't. There wouldn't be anyone, really, any sizable audience that's, you know, would make it financially viable to do it. So I'm kind of lucky with the fact that my forum is initially online. You know, it's on Spotify and iTunes.
Can you tell me, why do you think a song cycle as a structure suits your particular story?
I wanted to write something that was really kaleidoscopic, and that.
What do you mean?
So represented and told as many different stories and as many different snapshots of people as possible. Sort of every song is like a different episode on Netflix. You just get this little insight into a human, and then we're moved on to the next.
Because it's a very isolating, in a temporal sense, it's a very isolating kind of a way to write.
Yeah.
And then a lot, depending on the writer and the director and actors as well, there's sort of an assumed, sort of a presumed connection between the pieces. I think sometimes it can be an excuse to take disparate songs that really don't belong on the same show
and shove them all in.
And shove them in and say, yes, no, this is drama, you just don't see it. But it sounds to me like yours belongs in that genre.
Well, do you know what? That was the really tantalizingly challenging thing for me when I decided I wanted to write a song cycle, because how do you provide coherence between 16 different songs? And in this case, it's not even 16 songs about the same people. It's 16 songs about totally different people. And whenever I start a project, I always sort of make a little pledge to myself that I'm not going to bring songs from my back catalogue that didn't make it into another musical. So every single song was written specifically for millennials. So I think that helps first, because everything's born from the same germ of an idea. And the really hard thing, but the great challenge I found with this is, even though the songs are very, very modern, that's still quite a broad range of styles. And it's how can I bring in thematic elements and harmonies or lyrical narrative things into each song that make it link. And sometimes that's very obvious. Sometimes you will hear a 6-note theme that links every single song, and that will be really, really obviously pointed out. Sometimes it might just be a chord section from another song. Sometimes it might be one word in a lyric that brings it together. So hopefully there is a sense of unity there, even though we are rapidly switching between different people and different stories. And sometimes it might be just a piano ballad. The next second it might be this technicolor funk song where you've got horns and trumpets and 6-part female chorus harmonies. So it's up to people to decide whether it's done well, but that's been my challenge all the way through.
And one follow-up question from before. You know, and this is also an aspect of this generation, is this notion of TikTok and this attention deficit kind of a thing where folks your age and younger can absorb a tremendous amount of information and process it very much quicker.
Yeah.
But you know, you're lucky if you have 5 minutes of attention. Do you find that challenging in a presumably 2-hour format of a musical?
If I'm honest, I don't tend to try and think of that, because I think sometimes if you think too much about what are the audience thinking, feeling, scratching, itching, sometimes you can get in a little bit of a
I agree. I don't think you should second guess yourself. If the song needs to be 6 minutes, it needs to be 6 minutes.
Yeah, and I think that as every time I write a song, I've never actually had to think, when do I end it? Because I think if you're telling us a story, if you can tell a great story in 1 minute and that's all it needs, you've got to know when to stop. But I'm hoping as well, by releasing it as an album, that yes, I would love for people to sit down and listen to it back to front all the way through. But with how online works and the Spotify algorithm, people might find a song that exists in the second act of the musical and then come back to the start and hopefully realize, oh, the tune that I like in there was actually started in the opening number. So it definitely works in the order that I've put it in, but I also think there's room for people to just discover it and dip in and out of it.
When you are young and carefree, you always wonder maybe how your life will turn out when you're old. No, it may not come true. One day he turns to you and says, let's start a family, be a mom. And it's just one more step along the road of this adventure. Just one more chance to keep our crazy dream alive. It may be hard sometimes, but if we truly want this, we'll survive. So we'll keep trying and keep on hoping that one day soon you'll arrive. So far it's not been easy, but things like these, he tells me, only comes with patience and with time. It may not be tomorrow, it may not be, oh, I don't know, and I don't care, just please be soon. So it's just one more step along the road of this adventure. Just one small step and then I'm sure we'll both be fine. It may get hard sometimes, but any day I'm sure we'll see a sign. So don't give up, Tom, it's not your problem, it's mine. Hold on tight, stay strong, my darling. I'm here right by your side. I don't care if it hurts me. This too will be three. I promise, hell, I guarantee. It will be. You'll see. Just one more step along the road of this adventure. Just one more shot at giving everything a try. It may be hard right now, but wait until you hear our babies cry. So we'll keep trying, we'll keep on hoping, and I'll quit crying if you'll stop moping. But still, I pray for the day you're here in my arms. So no regrets, it's just one more step, and I'm sure you'll arrive.
After December, after the album is hopefully out and you make your December deadline, it's going to be an interesting December. No Panto, no, it's a different time, different year.
Totally.
What's next? What do you see as the future?
First, a holiday.
You and me both, brother.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that that once the album is out, a big thing is just I want to try and get it out to as many people as possible. And there are certain things going on behind the scenes now that may or may not come to fruition with it. So my big thing then is to how can we present this in some sort of live way. And I think who knows by then what will happen with the COVID restrictions. But I really hope that the first step is getting the album out, and then I want people to experience it live, because I think it's still a musical. At its heart, it's still a musical, and musicals are meant to be seen live, and it will be a very different experience, even if you know the songs off by heart. Seeing it in person than
Theater's a
listening to it.
live experience. It's you know, it's not for couch potatoes. You know, that's
Yeah, totally.
television, even movies, because we now watch movies on TV.
Yeah.
You know, this idea of doing it online, I don't think. I'm optimistic, though. I think that it'll be. I think they'll come up with a vaccine, and people will come out of their caves, and I don't think it'll be forever.
But I think that's actually probably an opportunity, and I'm going to paraphrase from the great writer James Graham, who wrote a great article in the Financial Times, and he says, the culture of culture can change, and I think it's going to be. We've got to try and see this as an opportunity, so that when
Absolutely.
Theatreland opens, and also other art forms, and actually most things in general, how can we be better than we were before? How can we have more new work on, and more be more representative of the world that we
And you
live
know, that's the most millennial thing that you've said today. It's that quiet optimism. That how can we be better? How can we do more? I think that's just fantastic. Well, Elliot, thank you so much for coming in today, and it just sounds like it's going to be a fantastic show. I have great hope for it, and for millennials in general.
in. Oh, thanks, Robert. It's an honour to talk to you. Thanks for having me.